weekend.
Yep. But this week's been working and wow, pretty much.
WoW is
Yeah.
work, isn't it? That's what the WO is for in WoW, right?
Seems to get that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But we all hit 100, so we've been doing a lot of stuff to gear up. And then this week's also been the time walking event where they take a bunch of old instances and from certain areas. So there's the Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, and I think Cataclysm is one of them. And they scale everybody down to like the heroic level. So I think 81 is for Wrath, 71 for BC, and there's another one for Cataclysm. I think it's 86. But they scale everybody to that, and you get gear when you do those instances that are level appropriate. So we've been doing those, and without having to do the heroics and the newest one, which is normally what you normally have to do before you do raids, we're able to get the gear that we needed for raids through that. And it's been pretty nice going back to some of the old stuff. Last night we were doing the Pit of Saran, which is it's like the last instance before you do ICC, which is the Lich King instance, and which is Lich King raid. This is a 5-man instance, right? That feels like a raid. And the first boss, Garfrost, that we fight, is a pain in the ass. Like, there's so much shit going on. It's just constant chaos. And, oh, man. We we wiped on that thing like 9 or 10 times. Like, there's 4 of us from our guild, and then we do random, so we pick up one extra person. It was normally a healer. And yeah, so we
the
pissed
random
off
who can ruin everything.
But they weren't, though. It was us.
Oh, well.
It was because so little background. Me and Andy are the only 2 people that have done raids, and I've only done like a couple of the raids, so it's not like I have like crazy raid experience, right? Andy's been doing like raids since the beginning of time. And so he knows what he's doing, but he hasn't played WoW in like a year either. So we're going in this thing after we played the other ones, like, oh, this shouldn't be hard. And then we get to this piece of shit. And it's, oh my God. It's
that bad, huh?
Yeah, he does. All right, so the boss is this giant, like, frozen ogre, right? And he does this move called Permafrost, which is just a constant attacking of frost damage, right? But each time you get hit, you gain a stack. And each stack increases his frost damage by like 5-10%, I think it is. Might be less than that. And up to a maximum of 30, right? So he's constantly attacking everybody, putting up these stacks, right? But he throws these boulders, and you have to get behind these boulders and line of sight him so the stacks erase, right? So now you have a bunch of boulders floating around. You have the healer trying to heal people, but he can't heal through the boulders. So you have to like find ways to position yourself so the healer can see you and so he can actually heal you, right? Being ranged like me, I can't do damage if the guy is behind the boulder. So I have to keep moving until I find him. And then I usually end up in a spot where there's no boulders. So I have to like sprint all the way back, hide behind a boulder to get the stacks off, right? Then he does this thing where it's twice. The first time he goes in, he gets a blade, and the blade increases his damage by 50%. So now he's hitting you, putting these stacks on, while also hitting for 50% stronger, right? Then, after his third phase, he goes and gets, I think, an axe or a mace, and now he's doing 100% damage. So now you have to like keep resetting your stacks multiple times, because if he gets anywhere near 10, he like one-shots everyone. And it's, oh man, it's a pain in the ass. It's extremely hard to do, and without people with that experience, it's just chaos.
Yeah, it just sounds like way too much bullshit. Doesn't
It
sound
was
like
a
fun
lot
at
of
all.
bullshit.
It sounds like the exact opposite of fun.
It was fun because of the challenge up until we weren't progressing anymore. Like, once we kept getting to the same point every time, it was just like, all right, it's time. And so then we quit and went and did something else. But yeah, like the challenge behind it is nice, but that guy is notorious for how shitty of a mechanic, and there's constant chaos. Like you can hardly see during that whole battle. See, I don't know why they designed that guy, but nope. Yeah, we had a lot of people drop out.
I feel like there's like a show called Podcraft coming, and it's just gonna be like one dude who talks WoW and one dude who talks Minecraft, like nonstop.
Two completely different games, man.
You and Cube Noob should collaborate on that one.
Yeah, I'll pass on that.
Oh man. So nothing other than WoW this week?
Yeah, nothing really. Nope.
Okay.
It's been a quiet week.
Yeah. On my end, played more Division on the back end of last week after the show.
Nice.
I've not gotten back to it since. I finally found one of the flaws in the game that is a little bothersome. And it's that the missions are kind of the exact same thing. They're almost like copy-pastes, just in different locales.
That's what I was afraid of.
It's like all the tech missions, like, and it's the side stuff, not so much the story stuff, but all the tech side missions are all the same mission, just in a different place, you know? And all the medical side missions are the same, you know?
Just a different locale.
Yeah. So it strikes a bit of a duality for me, because I do like checklist games. Like, just give me tons of stuff on the map, let me go knock it all out, you know? At the same time, when it starts getting super repetitive, I have to walk away from it for a bit. So, I still like it. Just, I don't know.
It's kind of like Assassin's Creed was the same way. Like, you got very competitive, or very repetitive in certain areas, and it's just like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's nice that you can check things off on the map and unlock new areas, but if they're the same thing, it gets really old really fast.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know. It fits that niche of just, you know, let me knock shit out. But other than that, it's not really doing much for me right now.
Dang, man.
Yeah. It ain't bad, though. It's not, you know, it's not a flaming turd. It's just not, it's not a gold bar either, you know. It's somewhere in between.
A lot of AAA games keep doing that.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a Ubisoft thing. It seems like, in my opinion, they spend a lot of time on the lore of the area and then for the mission. Huh?
This gets back to the problem I keep talking about, this whole open world obsession. Like,
yeah.
Open world is great, but if you can't fill it with interesting stuff, there's no point to it, you know?
That exactly.
Like, just make a linear game where everything can be fun. Like, the freedom to run around only matters if there's a reason to run around. You know? Like, if I made Desert Simulator, like, would you seriously want to play that, where you just walk around and it's just desert everywhere and there's nothing to see? Hey, look, a cactus! Holy shit! You know, like, that's terrible. So, I don't know. To be fair, the open world explosion is kind of in its infancy, so hopefully it will continue to get better, which is typically how these things go.
And that's what I thought with, like, The Witcher 3. It wasn't very repetitive, and there's so much lore in that area, and it's a huge map. There's so much lore, so much lore there that you can just kind of continue playing without feeling like you're just doing the same thing over and over again. But I wish that people would take that Metal Gear way of doing things. The Phantom Pain, I think, did the whole... It's not technically open world, but it's pretty much that. You got 2 zones. There's a lot of stuff to do with it.
It's open area.
Yeah. And none of the missions are the same. Like, it may seem like starting off that it will be the same, but it's not.
The story missions have a decent amount of variety to them. The side missions are incredibly repetitive. I mean, they don't even try to hide it. They're just, you know... What is it, like, you know, Wandering Dogs 1, Wandering Dogs 2, Wandering Dogs 3, you know.
You gotta take out the mines, it's the exact same thing. It's just
mine clearing 1 through 38.
But they did add, I will say this, each one was more difficult the further you got on.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're the ones where you had to take out the armed unit, like, it starts off where it's just two guys walking, and then it's like tanks and two guys walking, and then it just keeps getting more and more chaotic. They start throwing snipers up, and it's like, all right, I get this. It's a small part, but at least they're making it more difficult each time. It wasn't just the same side up over and over in a different area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. So we'll see what happens with the division if or when I get back to it. Actually, more of my time this week got soaked up playing a classic game from the NES days, the Guardian Legend.
Ah, yeah, saw you playing that.
To those who know, it is an awesome and really hard game. To those who, to those who don't know, just check it the hell out. That's all I can think to say about it. It's something that's worth looking at. Mm-hmm. That I'm pretty sure nobody owns the rights to that, so you should be able to emulate that fairly legally at this point. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was Broderbund. I don't even know what happened to them. So somebody probably owns the rights somewhere who probably doesn't even care. So, yeah.
Oh, somebody's playing my game. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, we are in a weird place right now with, like, the emulation, right? Because when it first cropped up, it was like, there was no way to get the old games in a manner that would get money back to the original, like, publisher,
Yep.
So, if the publisher ain't getting the money, like, why would you pay $80 on eBay for a cartridge? Like, you're just giving that dude money. So, that's just as bad, Like, either way, the publisher didn't get it and you played the game. So.
Very true.
Yeah. Now what's happened is, like, with the virtual stores and the classic games available digitally, it's kind of gotten into this weird gray area now where it's like, well, some games you can get the money back to the publisher. So, I don't know. I always go with if there's no legal way to purchase the game, you're good to emulate it in my book. Like, go for it, And if there is a legal way to get it back to somebody, well, go pay like the $5 or $10, and then if you'd rather emulate it because you want to play on your PC or something, just do that. At least hook people up with the money.
I'm down with that.
Yeah. And if you already got a copy of it, well, then you don't really need to worry about it, do you? I still have my copy of the Guardian Legend in the basement with all my Nintendo stuff.
Yeah, I think it's perfectly fine if you own a copy. I also think if the publisher is actually just, like, gone.
Yeah, well, a lot of that old stuff, is.
Mm-hmm.
So, heck, even stuff from, like, the early 2000s is gone.
Oh, yeah.
Like THQ and Eidos, like, those guys are all gone.
THQ.
Of course, we kind of know who scooped up what out of those deals because it's more recent, but back in the day, everybody was making games.
Forgot all about THQ.
Yeah. Wasn't it like Hasbro or Galoob who made the Game Genie? Like,
Interesting.
Like, what?
I think THQ is still around.
Nah, they're gone, man.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm certain of that, sir.
Oh, okay. And no, you're right. That's crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, Guardian Legend, and I picked up Borderlands the pre-sequel.
Yeah.
Started playing a little bit of that. A little more laptop testing, seeing how that runs. And I played the snot out of that back on the Handsome Collection on PS4, so it's just a fun game. I like it. Any game that lets me butt slam enemies has definitely got my attention. So far, all I got are Mario and Borderlands. So, like, guys, tweet at me some games where I can butt slam stuff. Like,
I guess those are the only two games I can think of that allow you to do that.
Yeah. That's really it on my end, though. Kind of quiet week gaming. Really busy. Hoping to get into some stuff over the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, that's the plan.
All right. Okay, well, let's get moving into all this news because there's just so much stuff that happened this week, and you know, for any new listeners or viewers, we don't always cover the news, but when it interests me or interests Chris, we go over it. And this week just happened to be a lot of stuff that was right in our wheelhouse. Chris, let's start with the big one, man. PlayStation VR.
All right.
We got a tentative date of October 2016. Nothing I read said an exact date. If it's out there, I just missed it. But we got a price, $400, which is half true, half not. You know, $400 for the headset, yes, but you need the PlayStation camera, which, granted, you don't want to pack in because some people already bought it, and you don't need two cameras.
No.
And it seems like a lot of the games require the PlayStation Move wands, so you're going to need to get that too. So you're looking at more of like a $500 package if you don't have any of that gear.
But I think they bundle it all for $350 or something.
Yeah, they didn't talk about any bundles yet, but I would imagine there will be like a bare bones, a starter bundle with just the headset, and probably a pack-in game, and then there'll probably be like a pro bundle with the same pack-in game, some other more hardcore style game, and then the camera and the wands.
Just looked it up.
Oh,
yeah. Excuse me. You got a $400 core PS VR bundle, which has the VR headset, the Move camera, and the Move controllers, and then PlayStation VR Worlds? Their launch game.
That's actually pretty good then.
Yeah, that's a pretty decent combo there.
That info must have came out after I was doing my reading about it. I really didn't keep up with the back half of GDC, so...
Yeah, this came out late yesterday.
Okay. I guess they were really getting hounded by people on more info about that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, that's good to hear. Hey, if you're talking $400 for the bundle, that's sounding really good.
Yeah, the only problem I have with that is that it's only PlayStation. You know what I mean? And granted, it is PlayStation's thing, but it's like, I'm thinking comparable to the other ones that are coming out. We've got, the Vive, and then you got the Oculus Rift. And I think the Oculus Rift is only PC, which surprises me.
Yeah, I don't think anybody knows what the Vive is. Is it just going to be for Clash of Clans VR?
No, the Vive is universal. Also has the biggest game launch, the biggest list of games for the game launch, or for the, you know what I'm talking about. The release has a lot of games. It has the biggest list. And yeah, I personally think if I'm going to go in on something, I probably will go for the Vive. Granted, it's like $800, but it can be used on different systems.
Yeah, everything I read about that though is like you got to have a lot of room for that, Yeah,
because it got wall-mounted sensors.
Yeah.
Yep. But it stops you from running into things.
I do like the way they handled that. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I think what I like about the PlayStation VR is that it's like a console, right? Because what's the beauty of consoles is that you plug it in and everything works.
Yep.
So if you buy a PlayStation VR game, it's going to run. And it's going to run smooth, If you buy an Oculus game, maybe your rig can run Oculus, but maybe it struggles with Game X, And
I can see a lot of issues with the Oculus coming out. PC is, you got games that probably can run it, but then you have to tweak settings just to get it to run. There's no plug and play on that, I can guarantee.
Yeah. And I mean, if you think frame rate hitches and stuff bother people now, in VR, it's just the whole point is immersion. So you're really going to just destroy the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We'll see. maybe it'll all run smooth there. I just think that's one of the nice things about PlayStation VR, and you don't really hear people talk about it at all. Like, you know, like every game's just gonna run because that's what console stuff does. Like, you buy it, it runs. The top end's just never as high though. You know,
that's the other thing. You know, it's going to work no matter what when it comes out, and you're pretty much guaranteed a bunch of games for PS4 that you already own. I assume if you're buying the PlayStation VR. But
well, there is some talk that it's going to function like a second screen.
Oh no, that's cool.
Yeah, that's an interesting application for it, and I'll be curious to see how that works, right?
Yeah,
because I mean, you got to think about the headset, right? You're putting it on. You got the thing right in front of your face, blocking out all your peripheral, immersion breaking, and you got the speakers, the headphones with it, blocking out all the ambient noise around you. So you could just use it to play like PS4 games, possibly to just increase your immersion into those games if you wanted.
Can you picture though if it's like a second screen, if you can use it as a second like monitor?
Oh, so then, you mean games that like take like a Mario Chase or Pac-Man Verse kind of approach?
That approach, and then there's also the option of pretty much how the Wii U does it with their gamepad. Like you have the Wii U controller, you could play games on that instead of playing it on the screen. So if your family wanted to watch TV, you can just like, screw you guys, I'm just going to pop my VR headset on and use that as my
the next time my wife is watching some like Spanish subtitled drama, just pop that headset on, like,
Hold on a second.
I am spreading democracy to the universe, hon. I don't have time for your silly international dramas.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's too funny.
That could be a really cool application for it. I'm still very on the fence about all of VR. But
I kind of want to wait for them to come out for at least 6 months to see, what the general consensus is. Like, is it worth getting? Is it worth the price? And if the technology is where it should be to be released. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll see. PlayStation VR would be a bigger investment for you because you don't have a system. So,
yeah.
For
I
me,
hope they come out with the PS4 VR bundle. That'd be nice.
Yeah, well, that's the big question people have been talking about, because now you're talking about an $800 box.
Yeah, but if you're going to get the VR anyway, you're already spending that much. You're already going to spend that much. They would have to drop it just a little bit to make it worth for new customers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to be keeping my eye on the VR thing. Here's what's weird, right? So we're going to PAX in a few weeks.
Yeah.
And they're going to probably have all these demo units out on the floor. But I just don't know if I want to use one of them or not. Like, the only way to really know about VR from everything I hear is you have to actually do it. So you got to actually get in there and experience it yourself. So I kind of want to do that, to have that experience. But at the same time, I'm really worried about that many people putting this thing on their head.
Dude, if they don't have Purell and some like Clorox bleach wipes, I don't know if I want to do that.
I kind of want to be like really early Friday at PAX to try to like get in there and be one of the first people to put it on.
So I feel like I mean, I sweat a lot. I feel like there's gamers that probably sweat a lot more and have less hygiene.
Yeah,
like they're you know what I mean? Like, that's going to be something that
what about other things like lice and pink eye and shit like that, Hey,
like, try our VR. Oh, shit your eye, dude.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, I just, I don't know. Something about that skews me out with something that's being used that much publicly. But
I know I've used, I was like the second person to use it, so I was perfectly fine with that. The Samsung one. I went to a tech job fair, and one of the guys was showing me one of the apps he did, and like, that was cool. But you can tell when he put it back, he was wiping it down with some disinfectant to make sure the next person that used it wasn't, getting my shit on it.
Yeah, well, you know what? See, it's weird too, because I don't mind like touching stuff with my hands, because I'm just like, well, I'll just wash my hands, whatever,
Yep.
But I can't just go down to the convention center, pop on the headset, and be like, all right, I'm leaving. I'm gonna go get a shower. I'll be back. Like,
maybe someone has created.
Yeah,
maybe
that's
someone
a bit
has
of travel.
Created, like, those the toilet guards, the toilet seat guards. Every time you try it out, you just slap one of those on.
Chris, it's so simple. I wish I thought of it sooner. I'll just wrap my whole face in saran wrap.
There you go.
Then just I'll be totally safe.
You gotta poke the hole so you can breathe, though. Remember that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
3 holes. I'll be good.
Oh man.
Man dies in freak saran wrap VR incident.
Too much excitement. Holes weren't big enough in the saran wrap.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh jeez. Yes. Anything else on PlayStation VR?
No. I think I like their bundle. I like what they come with. I just wish that it was like. I wish when stuff like this came out, like with Kinect and Move, that instead of having like demo versions of games that you could play, even we did it with Wii Sports. But Wii Sports was awesome. They would do like
that game
nice
sold a lot of units.
Mm-hmm. But they would do it with like a first party game. Like you got a AAA game that they've been developing alongside the VR. Like that would be a nice bundle. I'd pay a little more for that.
Yeah.
But you see stuff like that, and it's just like this is what it can do, but now you have to wait for something to come out before you can play it. Like Job Simulator. Like that's going to be cool for a little bit, but that's it.
What was it, like 100-foot robot golf or something?
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that looks like that might be fun for a while.
Yeah,
I mean, kind of like your typical sports game, though. You're just replaying the same thing over and over, but it's just something about it looks fun.
As a robot and beat each other's ass, like I'm solid with that. That's a good combination. I forgot about Ace Combat. That's another good one.
Yeah.
But
one of the things, it's funny because you hear about the PlayStation VR and you hear about how the screen's not as nice as like Oculus or the Vive, but
oh really?
Yeah, they talk about it being this, which would explain the cheaper price point too.
I guess so. Yeah, PSVR has only had. PlayStation's really the only people that have actually been backing it. Because I mean, Sony is it's theirs, but I think the Vive has Google backing it, and Oculus has Facebook and Microsoft backing it.
Yeah. So
it's like I wonder if that has a lot to do with it.
I think it was just their price point, right? Because you're trying to sell to console people. It's hard enough to try to sell a $400 add-on, let alone a $600 or $800 add-on.
Yeah.
Oculus is appealing to the PC enthusiast who drops $500 on a video card.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll be more apt to buy a $600 accessory. The other interesting thing, though, is everything I hear from the industry is that PlayStation has the most comfortable of all the headsets.
I will say it does look very comfortable.
Yeah, I can't really tell from pictures, I guess. I mean, but they seem to say it's comfortable, and I know a couple people said that it's actually very like wearable with glasses on.
Interesting.
Yeah, which could be a big deal because I mean, shit, I know tons of people who like really have to wear glasses.
Yeah.
Of course, then again, VR is like right in your face, so maybe not. I don't know.
Well, it depends if they're near or far-sighted.
Yeah. But it's an interesting little thing that could play into their favor. I don't think there's many people who are going to be like, oh, well, I'm getting PlayStation VR because I can wear my glasses, but I don't wear glasses. Maybe that is a huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. We'll see. I like the comfort thing, though, man, because it's like if I'm going into that VR world, I probably do want to stay there a while.
I think I just saw Eve has a PlayStation VR game called Valkyrie.
Yeah.
That thing looks gorgeous.
Yeah, I've heard that's really cool.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, I think that's coming for Oculus, too.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
I
think
guess it makes
I
sense.
think it's an Oculus launch game, and then it's launching with PlayStation VR too. I thought I heard an interview by those guys earlier this week talking about it.
Ah, yeah, that thing looks beautiful.
Yeah, I can't remember what podcast it was. Sorry, I can't credit that one, but I thought I heard them saying basically, yeah, like we're releasing for Oculus and then also for PlayStation VR. So they were excited
Damn.
to have quite a few months to get their stuff together for the second launch.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, yeah, we'll see what happens. VR is intriguing, but not sure if it's worth the investment. You know
Just
me,
yeah.
man. If I'm bored and I got the money sitting around, I'll go buy it like a dumbass. You know, that's generally how these things go.
I just want it to be. I want to see like the reaction, the general reaction from people. Like it's it's one of those things that you got to kind of play it by ear and wait a little bit for it. At least in my opinion.
Yeah. Now I know a lot of the hardcores probably feel right now like Oculus probably has the edge. You know,
Hmm.
catering to a market that's cool with like spending big time bucks, but I'm I'm getting this feeling that PlayStation might be really well positioned for this
Oh yeah.
because, well, one, they got the more convenient price point comparatively.
Hmm.
Two, they're coming out right around Christmas, which means they get to be the hot Christmas item, right?
Hmm.
And three, it just comes in a box. Like, so on Black Friday, mom or dad walks into Target and just picks up a PlayStation VR box and they're done. Like, there's no like, oh, does little Johnny's PC run this? Like, I don't know. Oh boy, he doesn't meet the processor specifications. Like, nope. Like,
Yeah,
you
that's the thing with
grab and go, man.
Vive and Rift. It's
Yeah.
I
Now,
think
like guys
the
like me and you, that's not a big deal for. We could figure that out ourselves.
yep.
But
For
when
the
you're talking
general
about
public.
like mass consumerism, that's, in a box and just take it off the shelf is definitely a good way to try to win.
Hmm. I feel like the Rift and the Vive will be. It will kind of take that. You know how you can buy like the joysticks for like flight simulator games, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's what the Vive and the Rift are going to end up being like. They're going to be for like that niche, like group of people who want that extra experience when they play certain games. Especially considering it's on PC. Like the only people that really do that are people who understand what their gaming PC can do or what they need to do to like increase it. Whereas the Vive, it's definitely, or the PSVR, it's definitely meant for easy buy. Just buy it, plug it in, and you play it. It's not meant for anybody who's more technical. It's just boom, 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 done. But
Yeah.
I think the Rift and the Vive, yeah, they're definitely going to go that route of niche gaming accessories for PC.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. It's
Mhm.
almost here, man. Yeah. Well, the Oculus anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's move along, man. So we got VR, you know. Now this one was an interesting little story to me. Did Sony put a patent in for a glove controller? This is weird, right? And I get it, like with VR, maybe there's a play here for that. But all I can think, man, is like, is everybody just taking Nintendo's ideas from the '90s and like spitting them back out now?
You got the
Like,
technology now. That's it.
oh my god, that was just a strange story. I don't know. Or like, what is it? Would you need two of them? What would it be for? Would it suck like the other glove controller? If
Well,
the
I
Power
get
Glove
what they
was
want to use it
garbage?
for. I get what they want to use it for, but like,
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
yeah, me either.
You know,
Uh, anyway,
probably
we don't
good for
really have to
job
elaborate
simulator.
much on that. I mean, I kind of said all I have to say about it. And they file patents for like all kinds of things, so it may not even happen.
Yep.
It may just be something they were working on and wanted to lock it down.
So I mean, if a game's got to get to that point where you need each digit on your hand to play, That's probably a little ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's odd.
Maybe it's just something like it controls better than a move wand, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like think like Job Simulator, you know, you're reaching to grab something. Well, instead of just moving like a wand controller or the camera trying to pick up your hand, it can actually pick up this physical thing with lots of points of articulation on it, you know.
That's a good point.
Almost like a mocap, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Okay, another small story, but it meant something to me. Capcom, remember them?
Capcom. Nope. No, I remember them.
I was gonna say maybe you remember their subsidiary MachPap. Anyway, yeah. So Capcom is re-releasing Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6 for the PlayStation 4.
That's really good.
I am possibly super excited. Now they're releasing in reverse order, which is a thumbs down. So we're gonna get 6, then 5, then 4.
Yep.
Which is a real buzzkill because I want 4, then 5, then 6. Like,
that's understandable.
Actually, I just want 4. If the other 2 just die on the vine, that's fine. I want to see if they do touch-ups to 4's controls, though, because if you remember for our Halloween episode, I went back and played RE4 on the GameCube.
Yep.
And I was kind of shocked at how rough those controls are by today's standards. You know, they did what they could on the GameCube controller and with the data they had available at the time, but with modern controllers and control schemes, it'd be really good to see them just make some little tweaks, nothing huge, but just, you know, a couple little changes just to make it a little more fluid control-wise. If they do that, I am so in. I don't really think they need to do much graphically. That game looks pretty decent still.
Yeah, surprisingly.
A little muddy by today's HD standards, but not bad.
Yeah, surprisingly, it still looks nice. Like I didn't feel like I was stepping into like something from the, the GameCube era. That thing looked very nice.
Yeah. Compared to like San Andreas, and then you know, like games that were kind of contemporaries, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's going to be a nice little thing they do. And I get why they do it in reverse order, but
it must be. I hope it's because they're making changes to 4.
That's what I'm thinking. Like,
yeah,
you can do 6 and 5 pretty easily. There's not much you would have to change on that.
Yeah,
4,
right.
Yeah.
Those were last gen games. Those aren't 2 generations back, so you can just kind of port those ones right over.
Yep.
You know. Yeah, we'll see. I hope they make a couple little changes to the controls on 4, and I will be down to do that all over again.
For real.
Okay, so the next couple stories, egad, Chris, we're talking Xbox on our show. That doesn't happen often enough.
Oh, man.
Okay, so the first story, Microsoft. Actually, let's do the small one first. I dropped it in a little later, but a couple new Xbox controllers. I just came across the images for them right before the show.
They look nice.
Yeah, Dusk and Copper Shadow.
Yeah.
Pretty nice looking controllers, man.
Yeah, blue fade and orange fade to black. That's
Yeah. And the buttons are all like monocolored.
Yeah.
You know, so you got the blue, all of them are blue buttons instead of, green, yellow, red, blue.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of like that, sticking to a theme.
Yeah, it looks really nice. Really solid controllers.
I dig it. I always like more controllers. Give me more controller options. Like, they're so damn expensive, but just give them to me anyway.
Yeah, what are they, like 70 now?
They're bad.
Why is the controller more than a game?
Yeah, that's how it is.
Yep.
It's like, wow. I mean, you get a lot of run out of them, I'll say that. It's not like they die every 6 months and you need a new one, but yeah. Anyway, that was just a cool little side note. Wanted to throw that in there. The big story was Microsoft opened up the Xbox One for crossplay.
I wish we had a soundboard where it can do cheers.
Yay!
about damn time, man.
Yeah,
This
I
is
think
good.
everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people have been wanting that for a long time.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't help them in any way if Sony allows theirs to do the same thing, but it allows people to not have to buy a new system just to play with their friends if games start adopting that. Which I
Well,
can't imagine a game that's cross-platform. Like, nah, you guys can't play with each other. Like, I can't
yeah.
imagine that. But
Well, it's like dumb shit like Rocket League, right? Like,
yep. It's funny
it,
how that's what's really changed it.
yeah, that's been a big unifying game. But it's like,
Yeah.
if your friend has it on Xbox and you got it on PS4, why can't you just play? Like, why can't you
Yep.
be in the same pool? You know.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like the more in-depth stuff, like how do you deal with like grouping, like you can't really create like a cross-platform party, you know. But
See, now that's what I wonder what they will do if they will allow that. Because I understand, I mean, you got different ways to connect with people.
yeah,
Like,
like it
you
has to
see
be
you're using
handled in
Steam.
client rather than at
Mm-hmm.
the system level.
That's interesting.
Yeah. There's other things too, like reporting like abuse or inappropriate names like that. That stuff gets a little complicated.
Duplicate names.
Yeah, yeah.
Now you have two different systems. I wonder if each game will have, when they do allow this, and let's say Sony does do it, I wonder
You'll
if
have to
each game
create
will
a
just have
username for that game.
pretty much, yep.
Yeah,
That
that would
could
seem
cause,
likely.
it makes the most sense, but I can see people like, I have to create another account. It's like, no, dude, it uses your Xbox account. You just got to make a username. Like, come on.
Yeah. Well, see, it requires a little more legwork on the developer end, but it also opens up a lot more opportunities. So
Yep.
a lot of it seems to be like a cost valuation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
Honestly, it's funny because if you remember going all the way back to episode 1, I said I like when Microsoft is losing because they're a much better company when they are. And this is just more evidence of that,
yep.
like they're getting stomped and they're making more moves to try to, gain public favor.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a good one.
And
And it
it's
kind of
small things.
it puts the ball in Sony's court too. Like, hey, are you going to do it?
Yep.
And
They can
Sony's
just,
kind of being coy about it, not really committing one way or the other.
it's like, we're for the gamers. How about you, Sony? That's what you claim.
Yeah. Well, what do you
But,
think? Should Sony play nice and just be like, yeah, sure, whatever, dude. Oh, open it all up.
I mean, in all honesty, if they don't, it doesn't change anything. But if they do, yes, and I think they should, because that's their whole thing now. Their whole marketing is about we're for the gamers, right? You see, they got, what is it, PlayStation View? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Their new streaming service. It's like,
Game the system.
yep. I mean, that's their whole thing. They would have to hop on this to keep with that marketing campaign.
Hmm.
But because it won't change their sales. They'll probably just stay at where they are because now people are like, well, my friend has Black Ops 3 and I want to go play Black Ops 3 with him, but we're on different consoles. Well, guess what? Now you can do that. Then no one's going to just buy the new system just to play with their friends if they're allowed to. So, I mean, exclusives is probably the only exception to that.
Yeah, it's tricky, like how to handle it.
Yeah. They won't hurt them.
Yeah, but it seems like it could help Microsoft, which might be the thing that stops them from doing it.
But, like, at this point,
Yeah.
they're not stealing your customers anymore. Like, you've got a base now. You're set. And you just got to keep doing what you do and just match Microsoft everywhere along the way, and you should be fine. Or find ways to, like, stay within that realm. Like, they're doing this, but we got this going too. So, yeah. I think Sony's in a good spot where if they did do it, it wouldn't hurt them, and it wouldn't boost Xbox at all. Like, Microsoft would just, this isn't going to change anything. I don't think, unless exclusive gaming. It's going to help us in the future, but it won't change their positions at all.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. I don't know if Sony should or shouldn't. It's very complicated. Some smarter business guys over there will probably be able to figure that out.
Yeah. If they view it more as an actual competition now, not as they're ahead of the game, then I can see them not doing it. But they view it as just like, well, for the gamers, we'll just continue being for the gamers. Online for everyone.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Here's a question. Is it better for gaming in general if they do open things up?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think there might be a lot of people in the PlayStation community who would say no.
Why? What's that about?
Well, one thing I can tell you about being into the PlayStation community a bit is they're always complaining about X-tards. You know? So...
I mean, I get it.
The Xbox Live community has a reputation for being bratty little 12-year-olds.
I mean, I get that.
Yeah. Which isn't 100% true, because I met a lot of cool older dudes over there, too. But
that's what you get. You get both. But,
yeah, there was a lot of bad, though. But see, now with PlayStation being the preferred console, I just wonder if, like...
they're going to switch over.
Yeah, you got, like, 40 million consoles out there, and you're telling me, like... you have like a small percentage of trash. Like I gotta imagine there's a lot of losers out there, you know.
On Thursday, I was talking to one of our coworkers who owns a PlayStation 4. He was playing The Division, and he said one of the guys he plays with a lot was like, "Hey man, my son's gonna play. He's 13, so you know, keep the cursing down, blah blah blah." And he said as soon as the kid got on, he was just all about titty fucking and. He's like,
God.
Oh, he's like, shit, man, like, really?
Hey, man, I'm going to teabag you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I can say it. It'd be bad.
Yep. I can't imagine that the people who had, because I mean, the only reason why it seems that way is because 360 had all the games. They had all the, things were releasing beforehand. Like, oh yeah, it's going to be a month on Xbox before it's going to be on PS3.
Well, it was kind of like the origins of console online gaming too, right? So you're going to get a lot of the immatures there because they don't really realize that nobody's going to want to play with you, you know. And you're always going to have agitators. There's going to be some people who just get their rocks off doing dumb shit like that. But, you know, I mean, I think there's a lot of people, like, when I first got in there and I was playing, like, Gears of War and stuff, I was talking all kinds of shit to people because that's just the way I am, man. Like, if I'm playing a competitive game with... But what I forgot was, like, these aren't my boys sitting on the couch with me like I was used to from growing up. Like, these are dudes who know nothing about me. All they see is the Malgadar. And they're like, oh, this dude's an asshole. And I started getting bad feedback, and I was like, it dawned on me. I was like, oh, shit. Like, they don't get it that that's just, like, what I do is talk a lot of shit, you know? Yep. So then I had to kind of change and start being a lot more socially, like, you know, decent to people who didn't know me. Mm-hmm. But if I got in a party with people who knew me, right back on. Let's go. You know.
Shit talking.
Like, my goal is to distract you because you're better than me. So I got to get you off your game, you know, because I suck at shooters. So, yeah, you know, it all becomes mind games, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Here is the one I wanted to ask you about this. Could this open up the possibility of cross-buy games?
Meaning?
Like, okay, let's take The Division, right? Just came out, right? Now, I got it for PlayStation 4. Somebody else might have it for Xbox One. Now, could there be the possibility that instead of buying, like, the game, you're buying the license for the game? So you could play it on PS4 or Xbox One? Like, buying the game entitles you to both versions.
I don't think so.
Yeah?
Because, I mean, they could have done it with... Because, I mean, they could have done that before when it wasn't with digital games. Like, if you bought the physical copy, you should be able to get the digital version of the game. Like a one-time code for the digital version for free. Kind of like how they do DVDs and Blu-rays. Like, you get the Blu-ray plus the DVD plus the digital copy. Like, they should have already done that. And I don't think companies are going to do that because they can get money by getting people to buy two versions of the game. You know what I mean?
True. How many people are really buying multiple versions of the game, though? Like, what percentage of the gaming population is actually doing that?
That's the hardcores. That's the people who are extreme fans of that franchise or that game. It's like, oh, this game comes out on all systems. I have all systems. Why don't I just buy it for all 3 systems? That's the very small percentage of people.
See, I think there's an argument for the opposite. With it's less about getting people to buy more copies of the game, and it's more about getting people to stay with your game longer to buy your additional content. So if making the content available platform agnostic, more or less, you buy it and you can play it anywhere, you can get them to stick around longer and buy the season pass, and buy all the extra content you release. Which seems to be more the tail end of games now, is where they want you. They want to keep you coming back, right?
Yeah.
So, like, if you'll stick around with Destiny for an extra 6 months because you could play with your buddies on Xbox too, like, there seems to be more of a win possibility for publishers and developers.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know.
Interesting.
I would hope. Because there's a lot of cross-buy stuff already, right? There's like Xbox and PC stuff, like with Quantum Break.
Yeah, that's because it's Microsoft doing. And you can only get it if you have Windows 10. It's not like you can get it if you have Mac. If you have OS X, you're not getting it. But if you have Windows 10 and Xbox One, you can cross that. But you can't do it if you have a different operating system. So I get that. That's a Microsoft exclusive too, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
But here's the thing: you also have PlayStation cross-buy stuff. So you've got PlayStation games. You can buy it for PS4, and you can also get it for Vita or PS3 or all 3 with some games.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So PlayStation's already got it internally. Microsoft's already got it internally. All we got to do is kind of get them all kind of just play nice together,
Only way I see that is if Microsoft catches up with Sony, where they're both at an even amount of units sold, which doesn't look like it's ever going to happen. But if they ever get to that point,
didn't look like it would happen last gen either. So let's not call the fight over. It doesn't look good right now, though. That's for sure.
Yeah. But I can see them doing that. I can see them doing that if they're even. And it's not like it's not going to hurt one or the other. It's like, hey, why don't we just do this? We're for the gamers. Let's do this. Business aside. But it's really up to the developers, I think, personally. Do the developers want to do that? Well, now, instead of selling copies for both systems, we're now only allowing people to sell it for one system. Or for, you buy one game, you get it for both. That's a huge cut in money.
Well, the other thing is, though, what if there's a game people aren't buying because their friend is on a different platform and that's the person they were going to play with, so they don't buy it? Like,
there's also that, yeah.
It's all analytics, man. It all comes down to, like, it's the old... Do you ever hear this about cars? Like, that a car gets recalled only if the cost of the lawsuits will be 1 penny more than the recall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So when they analyze it, they figure out how much it will cost to recall and how much it would cost for lawsuits based on accidents that could happen due to that recall. And if it's 1 penny less for the lawsuits, then they never recall it. And they just wait for the accidents and pay out the suits. Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense, but they're also very corrupt, so there's no...
True. But, I mean, it's kind of the same theory here, though, is that, you would have to look at it analytically. The dollars for the extra 2-3 copies that some whales might purchase, versus the extra season passes or the extra purchases you may get because people can play together now. So...
It's interesting.
Yeah, and whichever side ends up having more profitability is the one that's going to win, probably.
What we need
also
is
have to
just
get everybody playing nice too, which is another hurdle.
Yep.
Like you'd have to include like a Steam key and an Xbox code when you bought it on PS4, you know. Or
That's,
you would just have to have like a login, like a Uplay kind of thing, and then you would just log in from the other system, you know, and
what we're going to need is
just pick up your download.
We're just going to need a bunch of indie games to do it real quick. But hey, look at you buy this game on one system.
That could actually be a real good avenue for that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably what's going to end up happening is indie games trying to get in on that. We'll take
just everybody play. I just want you to play my game. Like I need to get the word out there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll see.
And then once they do it,
it's an interesting story with some possible long-term ramifications for games.
Oh yeah, definitely. Should be interesting.
Okay, this next story, the last Xbox one here. I promise. The Xbox price drop.
Oh yeah, $50 off.
Yeah, you kind of dropped this one in my lap, so.
Yep. Yeah, so they're bundling up, or they're dropping their games for their spring sale that's coming up, I think, actually next week. And they dropped the price for their systems to $299, $300, and it's for all systems or for all bundles and everything. So like the Halo bundle will be $50 off, whatever the price was for that. And I think it includes like the terabyte version of it too.
Yeah.
So like all their systems are dropping, and I think it was you mentioned that the last time they did that, which I think what was that, Black Friday?
Well, was that this year or last year? No, that was last year.
That was last year.
That was like Christmas season of 2014. They did it. Yeah,
that's true. Oh, Sony did it Black Friday.
No, Sony eventually caught up right before Black Friday this year. Yeah.
Okay.
I forget.
But yeah,
it was basic. It was 2 years ago when the 2 Christmases ago, the Xbox One was really struggling. They brought in the temporary price cut and the Assassin's Creed bundle, and they said, it's for Christmas only, and then it's going away, and then they brought it back around the New Year, I think.
Yeah,
and then they were like, "Oh yeah, it's permanent," you know. But there was like a 3 or 4 week period there where people could buy the system again back at the original full price. Which kind of sucked for anybody who did that. Like,
I know a lot of the department stores will still honor that. Like, hey, I just bought this a week ago. Can I get the sale price for it? Yeah.
It's we'll see what happens, but Microsoft does have a trend to call it temporary, and then if it does well, make it permanent.
Yep.
But the other thing is they're not selling a ton of systems, which means they're not getting the software sales numbers they want or the attach rates for DLC and accessories. How much of a loss can they take on the system?
Depends on if they're actually taking that much of a loss when they drop the price $50.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. It depends on what it's costing them to manufacture.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm interested because it came out. You gotta think about this. It's kind of like lining up. So they got the Division comes out. Division is like all over, everywhere. It's like, oh, the Division, and then Xbox One, boom. So you're like, all right. So they got that going for them, and then they drop the price $50, and it's including the Division bundle. So now you're like, all right, I see what they're doing now. You're pretty much getting the system without having to pay the full price for the Division. That actually they might sell more systems, I would assume. A little bit later, you know? I feel like it's kind of lining up right where they actually might sell a decent amount during the spring sale. There's a lot more, too. There's a lot more games that they've dropped the price to. And then allowing you, if you've got Xbox Live Gold, then you get an extra 10% off the price drops that they already have. But it's pretty good. It's looking good for them. Hopefully that, they keep that price drop if it does well.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it inspires consumers to get out there and open their wallets or not. Yeah. The other thing I thought was interesting with all these Xbox announcements this week, you know, I thought it was clever of them to keep themselves like in
relevant.
the news scene during GDC when everybody's talking about VR, and like they're kind of like just left standing at the altar with no VR device,
Mm-hmm.
So they've done a really clever job of keeping themselves in the news this week when everybody else was getting headlines for their VR stuff.
Yeah, that is true. I know it was maybe a month or two ago they were talking about the HoloLens again, which isn't true VR, but I guess they're really leaning on that rather than the VR thing, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, it'll be part of the Xbox too. Just like Kinect. Like, yeah.
Oh boy. The Kinect. Ugh.
Oh, wouldn't it be fun if they tried to like relaunch like Kinect with a different name, but it was the exact same thing? They were like,
that would be the downfall. That would be when they would actually, that's their fail and they're no longer catching up.
Yeah.
If you're say, all right, you know what? Fuck you, Microsoft. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Don't rebrand shit.
Nobody likes Kinect.
But I have a feeling they're going to use the Kinect to actually, add to their VR. So if they ever do one.
Oh, I'm sure they will. Yeah.
Or maybe they have plans with the Oculus Rift to come out on Xbox.
Yeah.
You back it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But good job by Microsoft keeping themselves relevant on a week that looked like it was going to be dominated by all their like competitors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we got another small news story here. You had brought this one to my attention that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
So you were digging through the rumors and you were reading some stuff about Red Dead 2 possibly coming out for E3.
Yep.
Or being announced at E3.
Which is completely unlike Rockstar, but Rockstar is also owned by Take-Two's, which they're always at E3. So it's interesting. They said that, obviously Take-Two will be there, and they don't really have many games that are going to be, shown there. And there's always been rumors for the past year since GTA 5 came out on PC. They've been talking about what their next project is. And I can't remember who it was. Someone came out and said, yes, our next game will be the next Red Dead. But for them to actually show up at E3 is kind of a big thing for them. And actually release the game. That's completely that's different, especially with people dropping out of E3. You would think it was slowly dying, and then Rockstar pops up. And you're like, oh,
yeah, all right. Bethesda's coming back this year, so it's not dead yet.
Yep. But yeah, I'd be interested to see what they have. Red Dead was a very well-made game. Red Dead Redemption was. I think that's
never played it.
Never played it. Oh man, you like westerns?
Not really.
Oh, okay.
And I thought the name was stupid, and I didn't like the art style. So.
Oh man, those are quality games. Very quality games.
Yeah, I hear it's great. I don't know. The name is really dumb, and
it's like GTA and Western.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun at all.
No, it is, man.
I don't want to trade in my sports car for a horse. Hold on, let me get a chestnut maple. No.
It's good stuff though. It was a quality game, and this has got a lot of people like, oh, what? But yeah, we're all taking the rumor with a large grain of salt though, because who knows if it's actually going to happen. But I'll be interested to see what they do.
Well, let me ask you this: do you think it could be a Fallout 4 situation?
Meaning?
At E3 coming out this fall?
It seems like it's heading that way. Yeah, I mean...
Nobody else has really taken the plunge on that delivery style yet. So
no, they're not. Yeah, it seems like it's heading that way if they actually do. I mean, I don't see why not. Bethesda's first year they do it. They do the E3, and they come out with the Fallout 4 stuff, and then they're doing it the next year. I would say, yeah, it's probably headed in that same direction.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It doesn't really mean much to me since I didn't play the other one, but I know it's a big deal, and I know it's something people will be really, really stoked for. So here's hoping it happens. It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
It'd be good to see if somebody else tries that same delivery method. I'd love to start getting my games sneaking up on me.
Yeah.
Instead of getting announcements like Legend of Zelda 8 years out. Thanks, guys.
Now I have to wait 8 years. Great.
Hey, you didn't have to tell me there's another Legend of Zelda game coming. I already knew that.
Yeah. Especially with Nintendo, it's you guys don't have many IPs that are still strong, so we knew what was happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'd be nice because then they release it the winter, which I don't know. We haven't heard anything from this game, so it'd be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. I don't know. All right. So we had one last topic we wanted to get to pertaining to digital information, but I'm not actually feeling so hot. Chris, so what do you think about saving that topic for next week? Because I'd like to kind of be feeling my best when we talk about that.
I'm perfectly fine with that. I agree with you.
Okay. Yeah.
Because that's a strong topic.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to get into the weeds with that one a bit, and I'd like to make sure I'm fully there with you when we do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this will just be our big news roundup episode then.
All right.
Yeah. So that really hits everything else we had on the docket for today. Was there anything else you wanted to bring up?
No, but I think everybody should go back to playing World of Warcraft.
Is that a subtle hint?
Yeah. There's a guy on Reddit who said it best. I wish I remembered his username. He said, there is no quitting WoW. You just take tolerance breaks of it. I was like, oh shit, that's the truth.
You just go on vacation.
Yeah, that's all it is. You take a break and then you get some news on it, and you're like, let me see what my characters are looking like. But yeah, it's definitely got all of our friends back.
Yeah.
And not reluctant. They were reluctant when they started, and then as soon as they started playing, they're like, oh yeah, ooh, that's new. What's this? All right, I like what they added here. Yeah, I think a lot of the hate from WoW, which I was definitely guilty of, came from just why are you changing my game? But I think now that I'm older, it's it's ooh, I can see how this works out. I see where their marketing is. They just said, fuck the new people. We just want to keep the guys that we already have. They want the lore. We're going to make it the lore. They took what's selling a lot, and that's, the whole open world gaming and how people are starting to add little bits of lore into the game. So then, keeps people interested in, makes the world feel alive. And with Warlords of Draenor, they did exactly that. And I think they did it pretty well. Some stuff is little small stuff because they know that more people are more about the end game. But yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of stuff that they added in there to make the game far more interesting than the dull questing that they used to have. And a lot of cutscenes. A lot of little cutscenes in there. It did all right. But you should get back in some WoW.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if I can squeeze some of that in.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, other than that, guys, I think that'll wrap it up. This has been the Collective Games Cast, episode 27. You can pick up the podcast version on iTunes, Stitcher, or on the website, collectivegc.com. If you want to hit us up on Twitter, you can find me. I am at the Malgadar. That guy is at ChrisBCGC. You just want to tweet direct at the show. It is at the Collective GC. Don't forget you can find the video archived on YouTube. Just search for Collective Gamescast. And I don't know. I think that'll just about do it here. Chris, you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Goodbye, everybody.
They said bye back, I'm sure.